What is life like for a young adult in 2025? It's hell. It's absolutely hell. Politically, we're going into the worst recession that we've ever been in. The worst recession we've ever been in, by the way. Um, Financially, it's also hell. Trying to find a job is unbelievably hard. In any way, any industry. It's unforgiving. It's unforgiving. It's unforgettable. It's just you're trying. I've seen people hand out hundreds of applications just to be said. There's nothing we can do. We're not fucking hiring you. You don't have enough experience. You're not equipped enough for this job. So it's tough, it's not an easy fucking world to live in right now. Not only that, but the price of rent is incredibly fucking high. You try finding a good apartment, you're gonna get your ass fucking ate by a just over grumpy corporate ass fucking landlord. Trying to find a good apartment that with a good landlord is, almost impossible. I was lucky enough to find an apartment that was cheap, had a good landlord, came fully furnished with Wi-Fi, and the only thing I have to pay is utilities. And I'm a lucky motherfucker. Like I am luckiest of the batch, because I have friends struggling to even find a place that's semi-affordable or in their budget. And at the end of the day, most of us are either getting out of college or going back into college because when you're in your early 20s you just kind of got out, you're in that limbo, you did something of your life, you kind of worked a little, you did this, you did that, and now you're trying to stabilize everything, you're trying to find stability in what there is. um, but it's tough. It's really tough. Food is unbelievably overpriced right now. For those of you who don't know, in Canada, food, like just like let's say a pound or two of beef, like let's say 2 pounds of beef, it's gonna cost you like $20 for 2 pounds of beef. Just kill me now. End it now. Like no. You want vegetables with that? Good luck. You're better off getting the frozen kind. Yeah, you're better off going to like that cheap little fucking store and getting the cheap little frozen vegetables because it's not good, man. We live, like I've said, in the worst recession of our life. And we are in an unbelievable position of just debt. Like the country as a whole is in debt. Like Canada as a country is completely in debt, and so is the U.S. and so is so many other places. And so many other places are going to recession, not just Canada and the States, but it's what I'm aware of. It's what I know. It sucks. You go outside, you see homeless people everywhere, and you thinking to yourself, well, if I don't make rent by the end of the month, that's gonna be me, right? Right. So it's tough, really tough. It's not great. I'm biting my lip here just from stress because it's not fun. Not only that, but social media has been such a big part of our life recently. Well, throughout our entire life, actually, not recently, throughout our entire life. It got even worse during COVID because that was the only way we could communicate with one another. But since then, it's completely changed how you make friends. So if you're in your 20s, you're what did I want to say? If you're in your 20s and you want to get out, you want to leave your small town, move into the city, make new friends, you have only two options. Either you're going out clubbing every night, trying to make friends that way, or you're going back into college, you're going back into university, and you're trying your fucking best to seem like a chill person. Because if not, you're gonna. But that's another thing. Mental health. Mental health is huge. When you're in your 20s, you start to notice patterns, especially 20s and 2025. When um Mental health is at an all-time high right now, and people are more and more aware of it, more and more, educated on it as well. I want to say, some are still bigoted and buckheaded about it, but for the most part, most people are, starting to realize that it's important and that, you need to take care of your mental health. So, the years that we stayed inside because of COVID, the whole lockdown and everything, um, yeah, that did substantial damage to people mentally. Where, not a lot of people have the social skills in their 20s to make new friends, to talk to new people, to fucking do anything really. It's horrendous, and it's really bad. But, those of us who do make it out, who have made it out, who found an apartment, who have jobs, who do these things, we're living in paycheck to paycheck. I'll be completely honest. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. My buddies are living paycheck to paycheck. Like, it's bad. Like, we're not making for 30, 40 bucks an hour here in our 20s. No, we're making 19, 20 an hour. Which you think, oh, that's great. Yeah, but the cost of living is 25 to $27 an hour. So yeah, you see that, little like $7, $5 to $7 like range there that we're missing an hour. Yeah, that puts us in debt, a lot of debt. I have friends who don't even know how they're gonna make it by the end of the year because it's scarce. You know, I have family who's talking to me going, yeah, I don't know how I can get your brother's Christmas presents this year, and that's really horrendous to think about. Just how bad our economy is getting, to the point where for myself even, it's, do I pay rent or do I buy food? And it's always been pay rent because I don't want to be homeless. I'd rather starve to death than not have a roof over my head. But yeah, it's tough. Living in 2025 is tough. It's the Great Recession. It's the great everything. Everything's going to shit. No one's taking care of anything. And you kind of want to put a bullet through your skull and end it there. Which is what a lot of people are doing, which is sad. Because we shouldn't live in a society where people want to just end it so that they don't have to go through this pain of knowing if they're going to get kicked out of their apartment, if they're going to survive, if they're going to, if it's paying rent or paying for food. Like, that's the choice people are having to make. Do I pay for food or do I pay for rent? And that's a horrendous choice to make. That's a horrendous choice to make. And I don't know how people are doing it. I don't know how people are surviving. I don't know how, families are doing it, because I myself, I'm a single person in an apartment. I don't know how I'm making it, but I'm making it. But if you're a family, how are you going to make it on a two people income to feed, let's say, a three, four people family? Like, it's bad. It's bad. No wonder birth rate is declining. No wonder people aren't having kids, because we can barely afford to feed ourselves and put a roof over our own heads, let alone take care of a child. It's bad. It's horrendously bad. But, we're going to have to see what it's going to be like in the next 7 years. I think there's going to be a huge change globally and as a society on how we act in the next 7 years. I think that that's going to be the biggest, change. We're going to have to to either, lower income housing, or, lower income housing and heighten up prices on how much people make. We're gonna have to give income wages that make sense for the times that we live in, because if not, it's we're all gonna just, that's the best way I can put it. We're all gonna explode. We're all gonna just starve ourselves and just end up homeless. And I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know, but I know something's gonna happen in the next 7 years. It's gonna change us. I know it. I feel it. It's something that I feel deep in my gut, you know. But yeah, it's a weird time to live. It's a weird time to be in your 20s because I remember my parents in their 20s. They were going out, they were partying. They had their recession, but they could still afford to go partying. Have you seen the price of alcohol recently? You can't afford to go to a club. You can't afford the Uber to the club, drinks, and then the Uber back. You can't do that. Not in the way that people used to do it. It's either you pay rent or you go clubbing and you live with your parents. You can't. You can't. I have friends, who are like, I wanna, buy smokes for the next week and have smokes, or and don't smoke. You see the pack right there. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's horrendous. As someone who's been smoking since he was 15, I will assure you, smoking is horrendous. It is horrible. Please don't ever smoke. But I'm addicted, so I don't care. But yeah, it's bad. I don't know how we're gonna fucking live through all this. But we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to make changes. We're gonna have to, make things work. Cause it's not that our generation doesn't want to work, and I know that my generation knows that. My generation wants to work, but my generation wants to work for a livable wage, for something that we can survive off of, something that boosts our morale, our anything, really. If you give me a job at McDonald's and I make $25 an hour, I'll be happy. I'll fucking work my day at McDonald's. I can make a livable wage off of it. But that's not what's happening, is it? It's not. It's really not. And I wish it was something that was happening. But, you know, we're so set on how the world used to be before COVID. And it is true. We were, going through a good time before COVID. And then COVID happened and it fucked up the entire world. Economically, um, politically, and just socially, even. COVID was the worst thing that has ever happened to us because we weren't ready for it. And we're still not ready for it. And it sucks. It really sucks. You know? Um, we're still not ready for another COVID. We still, haven't gotten back up from that. Um, and as we grow as a society, it's going to be important that we have measures in place for this kind of thing. And yeah, yeah. But that's what I wanted to say. Living in your 20s in 2025 sucks ass. Um, and I really hope it gets better. I really hope my, you know, mid 20s to early 30s are a lot better. Because right now, I'm 23, so I'm entering my mid 30s, my mid 20s. I mean, not mid 30s. I'm entering my mid 20s. And I really hope that it gets better in the next 5 to 7 years. Like my guesstimate is that it's gonna get better. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. So we're gonna have a recession. We're gonna have, we are in the recession, whether the government wants to acknowledge it or not. We are in a recession, but it will eventually get better. Is my whole schmick, if you will, is my way of thinking, my way of seeing it, my way of hoping that we all make it out. But yeah, and that's that. That's the video. I hope you all enjoyed my take on it. Um, and I hope y'all are doing better than I am, honestly. Because it's rough. It's rough. I see people in their 30s, 40s not making it right now, and it's tough. You know, everyone's going through a tough time. And I wish you all the best. And I hope to God, if I'm still making videos in the next 5 to 7 years, that I can come back to this and be like, I made it. You know, I made it out. We all made it out. My friends, myself, everyone. We're no longer in a recession. We're no longer in hell. Rent's back to affordability. Food's back to affordability. Yeah, that's the dream. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. Hope y'all have a lovely day. And peace.